Hey, what's going on? My name's Lee Hopkins. My pronouns are he, him, his, and you're listening to the Patterns of Possibility podcast. This is a podcast dedicated to helping you replace harmful patterns with new possibilities. In each episode, we'll explore topics that inspire you to be yourself, live your truth, and make lasting friendships. In this episode, I want to talk about what it means to be a little angry, what it means to be over your friendship, what it means to be reactive. Are you ready? Let's go. You're not a good friend, and I never want to see you again. Have you ever been frustrated enough with a friend or family member that you hurled words at them that ultimately destroyed the whole relationship? Yeah. And after your initial reaction, you step back and discover that while explosive and impulsive, the results were actually healthy for you. I have. I had a friend who would dump all of their problems on me and seemingly never ask me about their life or show that they cared about my well-being. My explosion happened when I was having a particularly terrible day and I needed some support. My request for support was met with their usual coldness and a lecture. This lecture I'd learned to tolerate over the years, but that day, I couldn't take it. I told them how unhelpful they were, along with the other choice words, and that ended our friendship for good. After my anger subsided, I felt a sense of accomplishment, followed some weeks later by a terrible, terrible sense of dread and regret. And I'm going to be honest, I wanted to return to the friendship. I wanted to restore the connection, more than anything, really. More than anything, I wanted a friend. But thankfully, that big blowout argument ensured that there was no turning back, period. In an instant, our friendship was gone. You see, I needed to let out some steam from the tension of having a bad day. And since I had no one to release it to, I destroyed the friendship I wanted to lean on. Oops. But was there anything I could have done to prevent this? If I could go back in time 15 years, I'd give myself some advice. I'd say, Lee, your friend has a right not to want to be friends with you. And so do you. You said some awful things, and so did they. It's probably not a great relationship for you to be in. Now, take this experience, learn from it, and move forward. Here's how you can do it in 2 steps, because I'm going to give myself some actionable steps. Number 1, make sure to note that specific behavior that set you off and be mindful of how important it is to you. In this case, it was the feeling of not being able to share with him, not being able to open up. It was frustrating to you, and it made your anger flare up even more. Number 2, be sure to express how important that specific behavior is to you and your friend. Make sure you do this in times when you are not emotionally charged. This way you can set your expectations on a friendship with a clear mind. In this case, you may have wanted to talk to your friend another time about how you want to be supported, how you want to open up to them, and how they can do that for you, what that looks like for you. But this time, you didn't do that, and it's okay. I am much kinder to myself now than I would have been then. 15 years ago, that would have been really great advice for me to carry on throughout my relationships. But I've learned it now. And it was a hard lesson to learn. But thankfully, I know how important self-expression is after experiencing many more blow-ups and friendship breakups over the years. My point is that sometimes we have knee-jerk reactions that sometimes show up really ugly. And no matter how ugly they've been expressed, that reaction may have been well warranted and good for us because we learned from it. If you found yourself in this situation, I have one final piece of advice. Be good to yourself. You are learning every single day. I'll be right back with the Answer Reddit friendship advice question. This week's Ask Reddit friendship advice question is, am I a bad friend to not want to help move? The Redditor writes, I am a 35-year-old female. I moved a lot over the years, myself plus my boyfriend, for a few times, but just me and him, for 5 times in 7 years. I never once had help from my friends, and that's just how I am. I'm very independent when it comes to these things. I gotta point that out. I was so burned out from moving now. I just hire a moving company because it's so much work. I don't want to move myself anymore or anyone ever again. My friend is moving and asked me for help. She gets so overwhelmed and knows I'm more the type A, so she needs help packing, staying focused, bringing boxes to truck, and someone to drive the truck because she's too scared. She's also on the heavier side and not fit and can't do as much as I can do, so I understand wanting help. But I don't even move myself at my age. I'm in my mid-30s. I have movers come, so the idea of helping someone else is just so stressful. I don't want to do all that work again and for someone else. Does this make me a bad friend? Should I suck it up and help her move? Well, Redditor, I'm grateful that you asked this question, and I laughed a whole lot. When I read it the first time, I'm like, oh boy, I know what it is to move and move and move, and I know what a pain in the ass it is to actually have to move. It's the worst. And 5 times in 7 years, that's a lot of work too. It's a lot of work. Nobody wants to do that. And I'm empathizing with you. I'm on your side on this and how you feel about this. So you really clearly expressed it here. But before I answer your question about being a bad friend, does your friend know how you feel about this? Does your friend know about your experiences moving and how you are? You said that she knows that you're a type A person and you want things to be done a certain way. Does she know that you're tired of moving things at all? I mean, if you're close friends, I imagine that you'd be close enough if you are helping each other move, or if maybe you've known each other a long time. But if she knows you, she would know these little intricate details about you and your life. And moving a lot is something that you would share with your friend. Like, hey, I moved, how'd it go? What happened? The movers, this and that. It's something that you would talk about. It was something that your feelings would be known. They would know your feelings about that. So I wonder how close of a friendship that you have with them if they don't know about you moving. They don't know about your experience moving. And I'm looking at that specific point because if they do know, how dare they ask you? honestly, how dare they ask you? That's how I feel about it on that side. I'm like, how dare they ask you to move after all of the frustration that you have with doing this and how your personality type is and so forth. How dare they? So I'm in your corner as far as understanding your experience, but I wonder if they understand your experience. And that makes all the difference in deciding whether you're a bad friend or not. Actually, let me just go ahead and answer that question. I don't believe that you're a bad friend. No, for not wanting to move. You set a certain limit of standards for yourself, and you can adhere to those standards. You don't have to do anything that you don't want to. If you decided to move and it is not in your spirit to want to move to help, you are going to be resentful and angry about the fact that you did this for your friend. It's something that you don't even want to do for yourself. So I'd recommend that you share your experience and how you feel about moving in particular. You don't want to do it, and these are all the reasons why. A good friend would understand that and respect that. They may be hurt, they may be upset, but here's where your friendship will survive. This is how you show that you're friends. It's what happens in the next moments. You can help them if you so desire. Find a moving company or find something else, an alternative that will help them in their situation. Come to some kind of compromise if you really want to help. But do not move if you don't believe that you want to. Do not move if you're not going to do it with absolute joy in your heart. Joy in your heart for your friend. I don't think you will. So don't move. Don't move them. But it's important to be honest and open with them, and in a low emotional state too. It seems like it's already like kind of trying to ask you to move in the first place, because holy moly, you've moved so many times and you might have some frustration. But don't let this build. Be sure to talk to them about what you will do and how you can help, how you are available to help. Best of luck to you. Thanks for asking your question. I know that you didn't ask me to answer it, but I did. And so I hope this helps you a whole lot. Best of luck. Take care. My name is Coach Lee Hopkins, and you have been listening to the Patterns of Possibility podcast. You can find me at patternsofpossibility.com and on all social media at Patterns of Possibility. And as always, I want to encourage you to be yourself, live your truth, and there you'll make lasting friendships.